Get your greasy little face up next to the radio because it's time for America's favorite radio program, Animal Stories.
Welcome to OK Boomer, where Jimmy Ahmuhdoofous and I regularly interview people with interesting occupations. Today, we're talking to two people who have interesting stories about animals, some of which are job-related. They each have 6 entertaining stories to tell in our first and maybe last ever animal story contest. We'll have 6 rounds of the stories. In each round, our 2 guests will share a personal animal story that they will be pitted against a story from the legendary WLS radio station's celebrated animal stories popular back in the day.
Okay, Boomer. Okay, Boomer. Okay, Boomer. Okay, Boomer. Okay, Boomer.
First, let's meet our contestants. Ladies first, Natalia Cooper. Natalia, I've known you for some time, and in fact, I think I had you in one of my high school classes. Is that correct?
Yeah, unfortunately, it probably did not make a big impact, but yeah.
I thought you were going to say, unfortunately, I had you instead of somebody else.
No.
And you're a friend of my daughter's. In fact, you lived in my house for a few months, as I recall.
I do remember that. I'm always so grateful for that as well, because it was just a hard time for my family.
Yeah,
So
well,
always appreciative and happy to be here.
You were a great guest, and it was a great way to get to know you. Tell us about well, first of all, where are you at currently?
So I live in East Troy, Wisconsin. Been up here for almost 15 years now. Husband, 2 kids. My parents live with us in the basement. It sounds not as creepy as it really is, but
It's a family.
yeah, we live on 40 acres.
140 acres. Holy crap! Tell us more about
just 40 acres.
Oh, that's
just
enough.
40.
Tell us about your background working with animals. I think those 40 acres come into play there too.
Yeah. So we live on a farm, have pigs, chickens, cows. I've worked in veterinary medicine for over 13 years now, as well as I did rescue work for 5 years before that. And then growing up with parents, my mom has been a dog groomer for about 30 years and my grandma for about 40. So just always been around animals.
Yeah, it's in your blood, in your DNA.
Exactly.
That is awesome. And Bruce has similar experiences. This is Bruce King. Where are you at, Bruce?
I'm in North Carolina right now. I'm east of Raleigh.
Nice. And you were telling me earlier that you were enjoying some unexpected snow.
Yeah, we got a snowfall that was I don't know, way above average and probably an occurrence every 3 to 5 years, and it's our turn.
Yeah, and I think the date is February 20th, 2025. How unusual, wacky weather. Not wacky
so
for...
everybody is snowed in, and you can't find a loaf of bread or a jug of milk anywhere.
Are you okay? Do we need to send you something? We'll DoorDash you from Illinois.
I ran out of bourbon, so now I'm mixing tequila with my Coke.
Uh-oh.
There you go.
All right.
And it's not bad.
No, enjoy. And Bruce and I have known each other for a very long time. I initially was a very good friend with Bruce's older brother, but with Bruce, I've known him from the wrestling team. We were on the same wrestling team. And one of the memories I have from high school, let me ask you this. Bruce, do you remember how Peter Frampton's song, Baby, I Love Your Way, starts? He says something before he actually starts singing. Brain cells are activated.
I can hear it in my head, but I don't recall.
I can recall, because here's one of those weird little snips of brain cell memories that stick in your head. I think we were in a science class together, and somebody asked you a question. It may have been the teacher, and maybe they complimented you because your response was, "Thank you," just like Peter Frampton does at the beginning of that song. It's a live recording. You actually referenced Peter Frampton when you said it. Everybody broke up, and your weird memory, but everybody thought it was funny for some reason. Isn't that odd how that sticks in? Yeah.
That's one of the better things people remember me for, if I'm on the list.
Indeed. And tell us about your background with animals.
Well, I retired. I just retired from 38 years in also veterinary medicine. I was in the veterinary pharmaceutical and animal nutrition industry, and started out calling on veterinarians in the 90s in Iowa, and had a blast, and loved learning about the technology and the science.
Natalia is currently on a farm, and you grew up on a farm.
And I just bought 16 acres, so I don't have as many acres, but and I have no purpose for having these acres, so I got to figure out what I'm going to do with them. I just moved here in December.
Buy the acres, and they will come.
I bought a tractor, and
there you go.
There's a whole nother comedy tape about me breaking things around here. And so I guess I must be farming for real if I break things on.
That's how it goes. Yep.
That's right. And farmers are jacks.
I spend my weekends browsing the aisles of Harbor Freight and Rural King. And Rural King has free popcorn, so it's all good.
Excellent. Wow, you guys are both well-grounded in animal stories, and we're going to hear them in just a moment. But I'm going to warm us up with a story that Bruce shared with me earlier today, I think it was, and it's entitled, well, first of all, it's from unilad.com news. I don't know, I've never heard of that before, but that's the website address. It was published sometime in February, and it's entitled, Trainer Admitted to Sexually Relieving Dolphin Who Fell in Love with Her During NASA-Funded Experiment. I heard you giggling, Natalia.
I already read it. I read the whole thing.
Oh, you did? All right, so you know it's pretty good. Wait till Musk gets a hold of that NASA-funded experiment.
Sounds fishy to me.
There we go. There we go. A dolphin trainer whose aquatic student ended up falling in love with her during their lessons has admitted to giving the animal a helping hand when it began to feel aroused. Nice. The bizarre task was taken on by Margaret Howe Lovett after she began love it. You gotta love it. After she began working alongside neuroscientists who opened a lab with financial backing from NASA. During her time in the lab, Lovett spent 3 months helping one particular dolphin named Peter. Yeah. It's gotta be Peter, right? There was Jimmy popping in. We'll get to you in a minute, Jimmy. Hold tight. Anyhow, she's trying to teach the animals to speak English. The research was scientific, but things became complicated after Lovett realized that Peter was very, very interested in her anatomy. I want to skip down a little bit in the article. However, eventually, Lovett began to relieve Peter herself, manually. Speaking in a BBC documentary, so you know it's got to be good, she explained, it was just easier to incorporate that and let it happen. It was very precious. It was very gentle. Peter was right there. He knew that I was right there. My heart's starting to tug right there. Lovell went on to explain that while the act might have been sexual on Peter's side, that was not the case for her. However, she added, sensuous, perhaps. Nice. She goes on to say it would just become a part of what was going on, like an itch. Just get rid of it, scratch it, move on. And that's really all it was, she said. I was there to get to know Peter. That was part of Peter. What an amazing story. Bruce,
now she's, I understand that she's training sperm whales.
Oh, God.
Well, I'd say she's already got a hand in it, that's for sure. My goodness. I wonder if she ever got around to teaching the dolphin any English. And if she did, what words do you suppose she might have taught him?
Oh, God.
How about...
blowhole and cloaca.
We're on the right track. How about, come on, baby, give it to me. Or talk dirty to me, you NASA-funded scientist. Oh, my gosh. Getting a dolphin off. Now, Bruce, if you had to have sex with a fish, what fish would you choose? I'm thinking that octopus comes to mind, but I don't know about all those 8 tentacles, I'm not sure. And Natalia, yourself, forced to have...
probably one of those little fish tank sucker fish. I feel like they, they could get the job done.
in a variety of ways. Oh, we are sick and off to a very sick start. I love it. Okay, let's get on to our contest where you're going to share your stories. Enough of that NASA-funded stuff. Again, we're going to have 6 rounds. In each round, we're going to start off with the WLS Animal Stories episode, and then I'll alternate between who goes first between Bruce and Natalia. Sound like fun?
Sounds great.
Yeah, Animal Stories. Bruce, what's your... Natalia is much too young to remember what was actually on in the early 70s, very late 60s. What do you remember from Animal Stories?
I remember Larry Lujack and WLS and all the great DJs from WLS, and with late, Larry Lujack and the wolf would howl, and he and Little Tommy would tell a lot of fun stories.
I can remember being
AM radio.
Yeah, I can remember being on the bus, and when Animal Stories came on, everybody shouted, be quiet, shh! And the whole bus could be 30, 40 people. Everybody would just shut up because they wanted to hear the radio and not miss Animal Stories. Wild stuff. And Natalia, it's going to be your treat to actually hear some of those stories. But you know what?
I can't wait.
Yeah, I have forgotten, though, to introduce our judge, Jimmy Ahmuhdoofous. He will judge between the 3 stories, the WLS story and from Natalia and Bruce, and proclaim a victor for an exciting prize to be named later. Jimmy, what qualifies you to be a judge of these animal stories?
Probably because I'm available.
Yes, that's an important criteria. And also because I know both of these guests, and you don't, so you can make an unbiased evaluation. Jimmy, do you have any experience with animals?
Very little. I had a dog once I'd play with, but my dad had to tie a pork chop bone around my neck to get the dog to play with me, so that's about the limit of it.
Well, that's sad. But today's stories are not. We've heard our dolphin story, and let's now start with a WLS story.
Get your greasy little face up next to the radio because it's time for America's favorite radio program, Animal Stories. And now here in person is the Animal Stories news team anchorman, your charming and delightful old Uncle Lair, and him in person, little Tommy. Hi, Tommy.
Good morning, Uncle Lair. Good morning. Hi, everybody.
Python attacks Pekinese.
I know who won.
Python attacks Pekinese. Little Tommy, that's a top story this morning. Plus, we'll have the answer to this question. What do you do when your chinchillas get constipated? Dateline, Durban, South Africa. Says here, little Tommy, that a suburban couple thought their maid was joking when she told them that a snake was eating their dog. But sure enough, they changed their mind real quick when they went out into the backyard and found this Pekinese in the mouth of a 9-foot python.
Good grief.
It was a nightmare for him, little Tommy.
Sounds like it.
Wasn't any picnic for the Pekinese either.
Is he going to be okay, Uncle Lair?
As a matter of fact, no, he's not, little Tommy. Says a woman said her husband jumped on the snake's back while she pried open the jaws, and then the maid pulled this whining Pekinese out. Pekinese are such wimpy dogs. Just because they're getting swallowed by a python, they start whining. He was still alive when they got him out of the python's mouth, little Tommy.
Yeah?
But shortly afterwards, he went into shock and passed away.
Python going to be okay, Uncle Lair?
Python's going to be fine. He slithered away into the jungle. They told the authorities about it. They reported this incident. But the authorities warned them that if they saw that snake again, they could not harm it because pythons are on the protected wildlife list.
Oh. Pekinese aren't, I imagine, huh?
No.
So, what's our esteemed judge think of that?
Yeah, that's what an entire bus quieted down to listen to. Yeesh, that must have been a short bus.
Hey, that was vintage radio happening there, Mr. Ahmuhdoofous.
Okay, sure. It was mildly entertaining. I'm thinking your guess can top that.
Well, let's find out. So, Bruce, I'm going to start you off with asking you to share your story that I've entitled Calf Takes Bullet to Head.
Okay, well, you know, I was a rep, a pharmaceutical rep in Iowa. Oh gosh, in the 80s. I was going around in northern Iowa. There was a vet, and I called on him. And often when you call on these vets, every now and then, especially in the fall when the weather's nice, you know, they were always busy, and it depends on the vet. And you know, come on, jump in the truck, and you can talk to me while I'm working. And I think secretly they're like, hey, free labor, somebody can help me do these things. So, and a lot of times they're out there by themselves. And so here I am, I'm in this dirty old vet truck with this veterinarian in northern Iowa, whatever. And we're out to this cattle service call. And it was actually a cow, an older cow. And I don't remember what was wrong with it, but it didn't look too good when we got there. And the vet, you know, poked around and listened here and there. And so we're out in the pasture, and there's no hope. And the vet's got this rope around this cow, and the rope's tied to the bumper. And the vet doesn't have any euthanasia solution. The cow has to be put down. There's no hope. It's got to be for the most humane thing to do is put the cow down.
This is a sad story, Bruce. A sad story.
Disease and death, and there's life and rescue, and you got to take both. And so some of these stories that I have anyway involve disease and death because they're the funniest, right?
Of course they are.
You know, it is what it is. And
Sure, yeah.
we're out of this pasture, and this cow's tied to this bumper, and the vet decides the next most humane thing to do would be to shoot the cow. You know, he's got this pistol, and you know, I'm getting a little nervous. And
now wait a minute. Do vets ordinarily come armed with weapons like that for that purpose?
Probably more likely to shoot the pharmaceutical rep.
There we go.
So I was worried a little bit, but you know, on we go. So the vet, you know, I was disappointed that it was a small caliber, but it is what it is. I think vets will carry. So the cow is like presumably near death, you know, and doesn't look too good. So vet shoots it, boom, and the cow has this surprised look on his face, her face. Like would be like, what in the hell did you just do? And then the next was like, you shot me in the head? Like, what? And I'm sitting there a little stunned and a little bewildered, not knowing what to think, because the cow's not doing anything except getting irritated, and then goes into crazy mode. You're right. The limbic brain takes over. Boom. And this cow goes crazy. Pulls off and he's no longer tied to the bumper. It's got the rope tied around him and starts to run and jump around. And that's like, get in the truck, drive the truck. And he's on the tailgate, drive the truck, drive over the rope. So I'm driving in this pasture. On we go. We're driving around crazy, and I'm worried about Doc flying off the tailgate and this and that. And we get the cow in a corner, and we do exactly that, and we get it a little subdued. Well, back up. I didn't tell the best part of the story.
Well, we got to have that.
While the cow was looking at us, all of a sudden, bam! The truck. There's this huge, loud dent or sound, and a dent in the hood of the pickup truck. And what had happened is the bullet ricocheted off that cow's skull, went up in the air for some period of time, and in our bewilderment, the thing comes down and dents the hood of the truck.
Oh my God, you guys got so lucky.
Oh God.
Yeah, and then we're driving around in this pasture, chasing this mad cow, and you know, I'm glad it wasn't during the days of cell phones, because somebody would have this footage. And
This cow that was near death was doing pretty good, running away from you.
It sounds like it.
Says, "You are my enemy now," and goes into crazy mode. And finally got the cow, and I have to grab the rope, and the cow's going crazy, and we're all our adrenaline is going crazy, you know. And the rope, Doc almost is pulling with me, almost gets the rope tied to the truck, and the cow goes crazy again, and I'm not letting go of that rope, because I probably get the order if I hang on to that rope. And you know, cow takes off, and I get dragged through 2 or 3 fairly fresh cow pies.
Nice cow patties.
In this jacket that instantly became a rag, and here, you know, suit and tie. So I'm covered with green, smelly cow manure from my chin down to my toes, because I was dragging through the thing.
Oh,
so,
my God.
And the only thing I can tell you is that the cow was never, ever seen again.
The Great Escape.
Wow.
Mad Cow disease. That's how it spread.
I tell you what, my next trip to McDonald's is not going to taste nearly as good after hearing that story. Wow. Good stuff. Well, I'd be thinking, I don't want this guy to shoot this cow again, because a bullet might come hit me instead of the truck. Amazing. Natalia, that's going to be a tough one to top. And I've got yours for here in round 1, entitled Flying Fatty Mass.
I feel like my story is going to be a lot shorter. I'm not always a great storyteller, but I'll just tell it as it is.
I'll be the judge of that. Go ahead, young lady.
Okay, Jimmy. So this was 13 years ago, very first week that I started at the animal hospital, and I'm still currently there. So just like the first week, you're just excited, you know, a little nervous, but just it can be like an entirely just nerve-wracking, starting a new job, trying to fit in. The doctors are pretty intense. They're, you know, it's a high-stress field to be in. So you're always just, you know, trying to just get through day one. And that's how I was trying to process the first week, just get through day one. I noticed that one of the male doctors he had a, you know, great sense of humor, kind of joked around with a lot of the experienced techs, but just kind of steered clear from me. So I didn't quite feel like I fit in at this point. But it was probably near the, what was that?
Little did he know.
Little did he know, yeah. It was almost probably near the end of week 1, and I was told, like, hey, we need your help in surgery. There's something that, you know, you just need to come and help with. So I'm kind of like a little nervous, and I approach in surgery because mostly when you're a new tech, you stay up in appointments. It's easier. Like surgery, obviously, is not for every new technician. There's a lot that, you know, you need to be prepared for. So
it's a little intense.
Shocked that I was being... Yeah, exactly. I was surprised I was being called into surgery. So I was like super excited, rounded the corner, walked in right into the surgery suite. The doctor looks at me and flings a 3-pound lipoma, which is just a fatty mass. Just like, he just like chucked it. Like, if you're familiar with like Mrs. Doubtfire and the Flying Fruity, like he chucked it at me so hard. And I surprisingly like caught it, in which I always like just kind of joke around, like, you know, like one of your daughters, just like quick, fast, like Cara Mandy Nance, like catching that like a softball in hand. I caught it, and the doctor looked at me and he's like, you know, of all the years I've been doing this, I've yet to have a tech like actually catch that in hand. And I'm like, was I not supposed to catch this thing? I got a little panicked because I was like, it was the first time he's ever like actually joking around with me. And I'm like, I was like, I my bad. Like, I don't know. And he said like, no, I'm just shocked. I'm impressed. I'm like, okay. I ended up having a technician take a picture of me holding the lipoma. Still have that. It shows up in my like Facebook, like, you know, from how many years ago. So now like, yeah, so now 13 years into the field, I'm actually doing a lot of the on-the-job training with a lot of the new hires. And I actually just got the new girl that I'm training right now. I have to catch a doctor on a good day, and I'm like, hey, is today the day that we chuck something at the new hire? And it was probably 2 weeks ago. Dr. Scott's like, yeah, sure, why not? And it was a lot larger of the mass than I caught. And I had her like go in the surgery suite, and she literally ducked it like it was dodgeball. Like she like ducked it behind her head, and I had ended up catching this on video. But it was just funny that I just think it's a perfect initiation for all the girls to do that I train, because that was like one of my first fondest memories of being in this field.
Well, of course it is. There's an animal's life at stake there on the surgery table, and you guys are chucking flying fatty mass at each other.
Exactly.
Again,
What happened today? I was hit in the face by a liver.
Oh.
nice. But again, what was it that he actually chucked?
Oh, it's a lipoma, so it's a fatty mass. It's just like older dogs when they get like kind of like lumpy and bumpy, like all those masses, and sometimes are cosmetic. They don't need to be necessarily removed, but sometimes they're in like armpits where they're like kind of like restricting walking, or like just stretching out skin and like, and they're growing at like an increased rate. You just remove them. So
I got a couple of those. Yeah.
yeah,
like
probably tuned down below, huh?
Softball-sized skin tags. You bet it.
God, he chucks it at you. I love it, and you catch it. Oh, next time if it happens again, you got to fling it right back at him, right?
I should, except he's scrubbed in, and I can't do that. But it's been a thought.
Oh. And round 1 is complete. It's time for our illustrious judge to proclaim a winner for this round. Jimmy, you must choose between the 3 stories: the Pekinese versus Python, the bullet bouncing off a cow's head, or the flying fatty mass.
3 stories. They all have merit, but I'm going with the near-death cow surviving a bullet to the head.
Very good.
Hey, let's take this opportunity right here to hear from our sponsors, okay? Brief message coming up.
Around P-Town, it's got the news that you can use. Around P-Town. AroundPtown.com, it's got the scoop with all the poop.
Ben's Barbershop, it's a place I like to stop. Whether it's to get a fancy do or just buzz off my mop, Ben's Barbershop. It's a place I like a lot, and you'd like it too if you did your do at Ben's Barbershop. That's Ben's Barbershop in Morrison, Illinois. Look 'em up on Facebook. Make an appointment. Tell 'em Jimmy Ahmuhdoofous sent you.
We'll start round 2 with another WLS animal story.
Okay, Boomer.
There was this Chicago woman who was mad at this guy because several years ago she thought this guy had stolen her dog. So to get even with him, she was bent on revenge here. She kidnapped his parrot.
Oh.
Then it says here, killed the parrot, cooked it, and fed it to her 96-year-old grandmother.
She grabbed his bird, she cooked it, and fed it to her grandmother?
That's right, little Tommy.
my
Parrot's name, the late Parrot, his name Arturo, was a Panamanian parrot who was said to speak 3 languages.
Oh, my God.
And ate scrambled eggs, rice, and potatoes. Very strange parrot. Said he spoke Spanish when the guy first bought him a couple of years ago, and then subsequently learned English, Italian, and a few German phrases before his untimely death.
Yeah.
No comment from the grandmother as to how he tasted.
And now for our guest story. We'll have Natalia go first this time with a story that I've entitled, Hey, Look What My Dog Can Do.
Okay, so it is a story of my childhood dog. She was a Shetland sheepdog, also known as a Sheltie, which like a smaller version of Lassie, like a collie. So she was just, the world's best dog, very intelligent. She would do a lot of like therapy at children's schools, just everything that you can think that you could train a dog to do, she was capable of doing so. So she would do like hide and go seek, jump through hoops, dance on her back legs. She could hold a burning cigarette in her mouth with like these crazy 80s shades. And I don't want you guys to like, don't blame me. This was my mom and it was the 90s. So anything
Sure.
goes.
Sure it was, sure. Sure, she says, sitting there
So,
with a big drink in her hand at 3:00 in the afternoon.
so she, again, this dog was just capable of processing like new information and getting it down with new tricks. So later on in life, I had one of my friends over. And she was at the front door. I'm like, hey, come look what my dog can do. And if you ever like heard that, like you can't teach an old dog new tricks, like that is totally like blown out of proportion. Like that is not true. Like I taught my dog to retrieve mail and she was probably about 12 at this time. So I take her across the road to the mailbox and my friend's looking from afar from the front porch. And I'm like, like, hey, look what my dog can do. She grabs about 5 pieces of mail, puts it in her mouth, and comes trotting back, like just so proud, trotting up the driveway towards my friend. And then halfway up the driveway, she proceeds to drop the mail down on the driveway and then pees all over it. My friend is looking at me. I'm looking at her and I'm like, she probably thinks that I trained my dog to pee on mail.
Womp, womp, womp.
I am mortified, but I also like could not stop laughing too because like I was just like I was almost like in shock. Like I didn't expect her to do that. I thought that she was going to bring it up to the door like she would normally do. But I think it was definitely something that like it's just not like the most impressive story, but it's just one of those like childhood stories that like makes me giggle every time I think about her because she was just an incredible dog.
Well, maybe she thought there were some bills in there that you didn't want.
Exactly, like foreclosure or something. I don't know. You never know.
Where's your homework?
There you go. Well, Bruce, can you top that with a big-breasted lady with a ferret?
Back then in Iowa, a lot of vets were mixed practice. These clinics at the edge of large cities is where, you have more sophisticated clients and exotic animals and this and that. And the veterinarians were busy. But if they liked and trusted you, you would get invited into the exam room or the surgery room back then and talk as long as the owner wasn't in the room and you could talk business and that, and you'd have some privacy there in the exam room to talk about business. And after the client was out of the exam room, you could stay and talk business. Well, I'm in this exam room and this lady comes in with a ferret. And when I say lady, the description of this lady is, think of Dolly Parton. So she was a well-endowed lady, and some would say blessed, but had a very small parrot. And so you picture Dolly Parton holding a ferret, and it's very close to her heart, I will say, this ferret. And so Doc's got to give this ferret a shot. And, Tech loads up a shot. I don't remember what it was. And Doc, the look on this doctor's face approaching this lady's, large bosom with this ferret is just priceless.
Was his tongue hanging out?
just a, well, more, not a look of lust, but a look of fear and dread, because if he missed, it would be, it's a whole nother deal. The ferret kind of freaks out, squirms all over, ends up jumping out of this lady's breast and arms and runs all over the thing. And the door to the exam room was open.
Oh, no.
Down the hall. And, it's chaos, super chaotic. And, we're walking down the hallways looking for this ferret, which another tech in another room caught this ferret. It was in a corner. So we go down in this room, and now it's another tech, a fairly new tech, and this old veterinarian and myself, because I was hanging with the vet. And so they proceed like, okay, just let's just get this done. And so, there was no booby trap there at that time.
Womp, womp, womp.
So here it is. This vet almost gets the needle in. Ferret goes crazy again and bites the tech. And your natural reaction to getting bit, unless maybe you have experience as a tech or whatever, is to react. And so the arms were flung, and the ferret gets a free airplane ride out the airplane across the exam room into the wall.
Oh my God.
Into the wall of the exam room, and goes down the wall and starts running all over again.
Oh,
and
jeez.
finally the thing was caught, but and it was returned to the bosom of its home.
Oh, man.
But that was the story of the flying ferret and the almost vaccinated flesh bags.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh my God.
Pandemonium.
It was
Pandemonium.
absolute pandemonium.
Jimmy, it's decision time. What's it going to be? The cooked parrot? The dog urinating on the mail? Or the ferret pandemonium?
Some funny stuff there with all three entries, but I can't get the image of the 96-year-old grandma sitting at the table, munching on Parrot, probably smiling sweetly at her granddaughter, noting how moist the bird is, and what a sweet child she is to be cooking for her grandma.
There you have it, friends. After 2 rounds of animal stories, the tally is Bruce 1, WLS Animal Stories 1, and Natalia still waiting to score. But we've got 4 rounds of spellbinding animal stories yet to be delivered, and we'll continue our foray into the animal kingdom in our next episode. So long for now.
Shut up! And kids, don't forget to be checking in with AroundPtown.com. It's got all the news that you can use. Stay hip, stay classy with AroundPtown.com. And for you fellas that want that hip and classy look, well, then you're going to want to get your butt to Ben's Barbershop chair. That's right, Ben's Barbershop. Look him up on Facebook.com. He's in Morrison. You make an appointment, you're going to love it. If you enjoyed listening to all Boomer here, he'd appreciate it if you'd subscribe to his podcast so you'd get notifications of when the next episode's coming up. Maybe leave a rating and a review. But yeah, go ahead and subscribe. That helps the podcast grow, and that makes the little fella feel so much better. And if you have any feedback for him, go ahead and contact him at ttaudioworks@gmail.com. Again, that's ttaudioworks@gmail.com. Okay, I'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.